one of the hardest things that I had to accept, and it was a revelation that was brought to me as I was going through a period of counseling and stuff like that, because I was still holding on to all that stuff, was sometimes your parents' only job is to get you here.
Yes.
Sometimes your parents' only job is to make sure you're born.
Yes.
And God has no interest or level of involvement for your life past getting you here.
We would hope that he would want to be in this child's life and watch them grow, etc. But people got different views that are all over the spectrum when it comes to this kind of thing. But it's nothing new, because a lot of cats don't pay and they ain't in a child's life. So you do the math. Ain't nothing new.
My dad still owed my mom about 3 stacks.
Right. So
we let it. We dropped the case. We dropped the case, even though he owed 3 stacks.
They dropped the case.
They dropped the case. They came to me and actually asked me.
How old were you when they asked you?
Good question. Because child support goes to 18.
Yep.
And at the time, I think it could go further if the kid goes to college.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was a sophomore in college when I got the phone call. So how old are you a sophomore? 19, 20? 19 and 20?
Maybe
when
something like that.
sophomore
Right
college.
Generally,
Depends on.
If you're on the traditional track, you might be doing that victory lap. You know what I mean? You never know.
So I got the phone call. My mom was like, "Hey, the court said that they'll go after your daddy for the remaining child support that he owes. What do you want to do with it?" And I said, I told my mom straight up, and this is an estranged relationship that I had with my father at the time. I told her straight up, I was like, we honestly, we doing good without him. What is an extra $2,000-$3,000 going to do for us right now? Let's just be done with it and let it be done. And that's basically what happened. And they was like, all right, it was on you. So they said dismiss the case, and then that's the end of it.
So how did you reconcile that? You know what I mean? From the past desires to wanting to obviously have a father present, those kind of things, but then just looking at it from a monetary thing, because y'all could have stuck it to him just from a monetary standpoint. That wouldn't have necessarily enhanced y'all's relationship. So how did you kind of process that at that young age, or young adult age?
Yeah. You said the right word, reconcile. I in my so a transformative thing had happened my freshman year of me becoming a Christian, and then my sophomore year, that was when I was kind of like walking it out a little bit, and I was kind of like so I think it's 2 things. One, it was like I want to forgive him. I want to have a relationship with him. And then a part of it too, and this is kind of, it's funny. I want to have a relationship with you, but I don't want to have to deal with you. You know what I'm saying? So it was conflicting things at the same time.
Concept. Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. And so I just went to the point. I was like, let's just drop it. I just drop it. And then, probably the following year, my father has his he gets baptized, and I had met my sister probably, let's see, I was 20. I had met my sister 4 years prior to that, and she's a year younger than me. And we had been conversing, and she was telling me, he's getting baptized, and it's an exciting thing, but I feel like he's hiding something. I don't know what he was trying to hide or whatever the case may be, but I went to the actual baptism. This is probably the year following me saying I'll let it go. The night before, I went over to my then grandmother's house. She's since passed away, but I went to the house to hang out with him and her, and we were watching Cops. And I remember distinctly, we were watching Cops, and I said, "Hey, Pops, I just want to let you know, for a long period of time, I had a hatred for you, because I felt like you abandoned me. I feel like you weren't there for me. But tomorrow, when you get baptized, not only are you my father, but then you become my brother in Christ." He then says to me, he said, "Thank you, Troy. I appreciate that. What you think is about to happen next on Cops? You think they're going to catch the criminal?" He couldn't process
what you just said.
He couldn't process what I just said. And at that moment, I was like, okay. And my grandma, she allowed us to have that open space. She didn't interrupt. She didn't, because normally in a black household, you don't talk, regardless of who you are, you don't talk to no elder like that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Even if you telling them the truth, she just let it go by. The next day he had his baptism. I was there celebrating. I was there crying, and I pursued my father to try to close that door, close that gap. I don't think we really got the opportunity, that chance, like I really wanted to. We had one good conversation. We had one good conversation right before he had his last stroke that kind of like made him not as cognitive. And bro, he talked my head off. And that's what I've been wanting for such a long time. You know what I'm saying? And I don't know if I would have pursued him to be like, hey, come up off that bread, if we would have had that one moment. You know what I'm saying? So,
got you.
Yeah.
That's real, Troy.
Good stuff,
Hey,
man.
I appreciate that.
you, Doc.
Layers.
Appreciate you for sharing that.
Layers.
I appreciate that.
That
for
onion
real.
getting peeled back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
man.
Feel me?
You know, we can do that when you ask the appropriate probing questions. So thank you for participating in my case study.
So
It's my case study.
I guess my next question to that is, how did it make you feel? And I'll explain why I asked this question. How did it make you feel knowing that, he wasn't around for you when you was younger, hadn't paid the bread, you were the bigger person and said, you know what, we don't want the bread, we just want to move on or whatever, and then you go through a situation where someone who wasn't there to take care of you needs to be taken care of. How does that make you feel? What mindset does that put you in? Is it a lot harder for you to, although you've already gone through the forgiveness track and stuff like that, do you ever at times feel like a hint of resentment for, those type of things? Because there are, and I've even experienced it, not that it was no fault to my mother or anything like that, but like growing up without her, at times getting older or something, and she being in a situation where she needs help, it's like on one heart of me is like, that's my mama, I'm gonna help my mama.
Yeah.
And then the other part of it could be, well, you wasn't even there to take care of me, and then now I gotta turn around it. You know what I'm saying? So do you ever deal with, like some of that, or have you experienced it? Because I know there's some other people like that too who may need to hear that.
Yeah. So you asked some really big questions. So one part is with my father is that I understand now. Getting older, you understand. You just understand. You know what I'm saying? Because when you're a kid, it's like, why my father wasn't there, it's like he was 16. You know what I'm saying? Brains ain't fully developed at the age of 16. You feel me? My mother had to become an adult overnight. You know what I'm saying? And because he didn't take responsibility, he didn't have to become an adult. And so, and then he was also a big time athlete. They used to call his nickname was Iceman, after Iceman Gervin.
George
Gervin, yeah. Like he was a nasty basketball player, and when you are a star athlete, you still don't have to grow up.
In a lot of ways,
Especially back in the day, you didn't have to grow up because people take care. You don't have to come to class. You know what I'm saying? Like, just make sure you show up for the game on Friday night. And they said
you have a reference of accountability.
Yeah.
No foundation of accountability.
There was none. And they said that he was even nastier at football than he was at basketball, which is crazy too. But anyway, part of me is like, the resentment is understood. And although there's resentment for his actions, I understand how a person in that position could drop the ball. You feel me? And so, but that can only come with maturity.
Right.
But, and I'll also say this, that maturity or that understanding couldn't start until the point of me actually showing forgiveness. And part of that too, of that forgiveness, is realizing, bro, y'all remember Pizza Hut meats?
Yeah.
Y'all remember that?
Yeah, we remember.
That was dumb stuff. And I remember. That's just the tip of the iceberg. There was so many other dumb things. Almost died 3 times You know what I'm saying?
Mhm,
Like
mhm.
there were so many dumb things that was happening from the age of 16 to that 20 mark of where I had to forgive. And then at the moment where I forgave him, the Lord just began to show me is like the way that you forgave your father is how I've forgiven you for all of your other things.
Yeah.
And so, and then he just started to lay things out. And then that last conversation I had with my dad, he explained some things. He didn't go into details. He didn't apologize or nothing like that. But he just told me what like his basketball experience from from high school to college and even playing overseas. And I was like, I get it. I get it. My resentment is real. My feeling is real, but I also get it at the same time.
All right.
I
Yeah.
felt that.
Yeah, and not to obviously, your experience is different, but in all thy getting,
Gain understanding.
and that's what people. That is the piece that people often miss.
Miss.
The understanding may not look like what we think it needs to look like.
Yeah.
But as you mentioned, I still got some resentment. I still, I'm still
Yeah.
navigating these things, but I understand.
Yes.
And that is really when you can open up certain arenas and avenues so you can have that healing process. You got to forget, being able to forgive, being able to, leverage those experiences appropriately, so you can move forward in life. Because in a lot of ways too, I was just having a conversation last week with one of my homies. I'm like, bro, you the only one thinking about this. You cannot change that person.
Yeah.
You cannot do that. You are literally you getting sick thinking about, well, they should have done this, they should have done that. Maybe they should.
Yeah.
But you're allowing it to impact you in a way that is negative.
Right.
So
Yeah.
how are you go fix that for you? Because they doing them. So yeah, being able to acknowledge that and gain that level of understanding, I'm sure paid dividends for you in the long run. Thanks for sharing that though, man.
And to the part that you appreciate that, and the part that you asked, I didn't answer. You said how be in a position where now I'm taking care of him, and reverse where he didn't take care of me. Now, one thing I've realized about myself, I am not a caretaker. I don't that is a special ability that people have. Like nurses, shout out to my nurses, my doctors, my RNAs, not CNAs, the CNAs, the RNs, the BNs, like all those people, like shout out to y'all. My sister was a caregiver for a time. That's a special person. I can't wipe no butt. You know what I'm saying? I can't
I did not know that is where he was going to go with that.
I can't wipe no butt. I can't do that.
Said butt.
I can't do that. I can't do that. I can't help you get dressed. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't have that that ability. But what I can do is I know how to make these phone calls. I know how to talk to the caregivers. I know how to talk to these people to try to set up things. Like we were trying to figure out stuff with his Social Security and his disability. And I took I'm being for real. We're trying to figure out his Social Security and his disability. And we know we got a friend who's in that realm. So I reached out to him. I was like, hey bro, what I need to do? He said, call this, that, and the fourth and the other. Now in the back of, I did not know my aunt had already set this stuff up, but I genuinely pursued these people to be like, hey, how can we get him assistance? How can we pay for people to come in and take care of him and stuff like that? I can be on that part and to make sure that you get taken care of. I just don't have the bone in my body. It takes a special type of person.
I got you.
So I bless God for my father, for my aunts and my uncles who are my dad's brothers and sisters, because all of them have the caregiving, nurturing part about them. I just don't have it. So I bless God for my Aunt Valerie, my Aunt Estelle, Darnell, Onion, and Carolyn, like all of them.
Name Onion?
Name Onion.
Like
his real name Robert. His real name Robert.
Why
you just say Robert?
Right. Why how
We
y'all
call him
land on
Uncle Onion.
that?
Onion head? I don't know.
Oh, okay.
Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe he just got a big head.
I got an uncle named Bruh.
Bruh? Yeah.
Like
okay.
Brother Man was his nickname.
Bruh Man, okay.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I shout out to them because they have done jumped through a lot of hoops to
Yeah.
help provide for my father. I'm not there yet, not because of him. I'm just not there yet as a person.
Right,
Got
I feel
you.
you.
You know what I'm saying?
I
So
feel you.
yeah.
Hey, but this last thing I'm gonna say, and then I think we're gonna be at time. But to continue what Lace was saying, just about letting stuff go and moving on. I feel like for people who are in that situation, because I was also in that situation similar to Troy's experiences, like you got to get to a point where you can move on without explanation.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for a lot of people, they feel they can't move on, or they feel like they can't because they want so badly to get an explanation from
Yes.
from
Yes.
their parent on
Yeah.
why.
Mhm.
Why were you not there for me? Why did you choose not to be around? Why didn't you show up for me in the way that I expected you? You know, why weren't you like other parents that I've seen and stuff like that? And because you need so desperately the explanation, it's harder for you to move on.
Yeah,
and
agreed.
there may be more times than not a situation where you're never going to get the explanation. You
Mhm,
may
mhm.
never get the reason, and sometimes you may get the reason and it still not be good enough for you
Right.
anyway. So you got to learn to, and it's obviously it's hard because you always kind of think about what could I have been if I had this? What would
Mhm.
my life have been like if I had a situation? But you have to really get to the space where you look at really what my life could have been if I did have that versus
Right.
what I have now,
Mhm.
and be able to let go and move on without explanation, to Lace's point, for yourself, not necessarily for them. And I think the struggle with that is a lot of us would feel like we're letting our parents off the hook
Yeah, yeah,
by
yeah.
giving them forgiveness. Like I'm letting them get away with what they
Mhm.
did to me by not forgiving, but I'm also keeping myself in a prison too because
Yeah.
now I can't move forward, and I might carry that into my relationship with my kids or my spouse or whatever it may be. So we got to learn how to do that. One of the hardest things that I had to accept, and it was a revelation that was brought to me as I was going through a period of counseling and stuff like that, because I was still holding on to all that stuff, was sometimes your parents' only job is to get you here.
Yes.
Mhm.
Sometimes
Yes.
your parents' only job is to make sure you're born.
Yes.
And God has no interest or level of involvement for them for your life past getting you here.
Yes.
And what he has for you for the rest of your life is based on what he wants you to
His will for
experience. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying?
Yeah.
So some of our parents may not have been meant to be in our lives from that stage forward based on what God wanted to do with us. So that is a hard thing to accept. That is a hard thing to deal with. But if you can understand that that may not have been what God wanted from me, it can be a little bit easier to get to that space where you can move forward without explanation. And once that was brought to me and it opened my eyes to something different, it was a lot easier for me to let go and to reach a level of understanding and get older and be like, all right, I understand, what they could have been going through, what their mindset could have been, and stuff like that. Especially like us, a lot of us, I don't know about Lace, but a lot of millennials, if y'all look back, a lot of our parents were young when we were.
Oh, for
were-
sure.
Oh, yeah,
The
yeah.
thing is,
We're born.
nobody has a blueprint.
Yeah, they
There's
like
no-
most
and there's
a
no
lot of our
blueprint.
parents. My mom was 18 when I was born. You know what I'm saying? So it's just like, what was an 18-year-old thinking at that time? What could she have been going through, in those situations? And I think back to when I was like 4 or 5 years old, like small memories about my experience in my parents' relationship. I'm like, my mom would have been 22, maybe 21, 22 years old. How much could I have expected from a 21 or 22-year-old, you know what I'm saying, in that situation, trying to figure themselves out? So it's just like, you get to the space where as I've gotten older, gotten wiser, and become a parent, you start to like understand,
For sure.
certain things. But I tell
sure.
you, hey man, what's going on? It's your boy Melly Mel. You already know what the deal is. Hey, do me a favor real quick. Hit the button. Yeah, the subscribe button. You know which one I'm talking about. Go ahead and hit that, man. If you're on YouTube, hit that subscribe button so we can get it cracking. If you listen on Apple Podcasts or if you're on Spotify, go ahead and hit that subscribe on that as well. So that way when we drop these episodes, you're the first one to know about it. Hey, we real serious this year. We trying to get this community going. We want to continue to have great and amazing conversations that y'all keep engaging us with. So do us a favor. Tell somebody else about this podcast. I don't care if it's your man from down the street, your brother, your cousin, anybody that you feel like would benefit from these conversations or just want to have a good time. Come kick it with us at Manly D's, man. After you do that, as always, continue rocking with us. It's your boy Melly Mel, man. I'm out.